I didn't see you there. I have a little story here for you.
You got your own theme music.
Yeah, I do. The rainy days of early spring had faded, folks, and the dog days of summer, well, they were still a ways off. It was late May, one of those perfect days that begs you to step outside and breathe it all in. A mother, her 4 children, and a family friend, they did just that. They headed to a local nature reserve, a place teeming with life and beauty. Now they knew it'd be crowded on a day like this, and they also knew about a few dangerous locals who called that reserve home. The family soaked in the sights, the sounds, the hustle and the bustle of a world alive with spring's promise. The mother, well, she was doing what mothers do, playing zone defense, keeping an eye on her 4 little ones darting about like fireflies. But you know how it goes. You've heard this story before, haven't you? She took her eyes off one of her children, just for a second, a fleeting moment. But for a 3-year-old boy, a single second is an eternity of trouble waiting to happen. While her gaze was elsewhere, that toddling boy wandered. He slipped away, right onto the private domain of one of those dangerous locals. Now this individual, he had a reputation. Grumpy, they said. Hard-nosed, they whispered. And it just so happened that this was the day after his 17th birthday. A birthday, mind you, that passed with little fanfare, leaving him in a bit of a mood. So when the little boy stumbled into his territory, let's just say the welcome wasn't exactly warm. But here's the thing. The individual, gruff as he was, showed a flicker of concern. He noticed the boy, saw him there in his space, yet to those watching, it didn't seem like the child's safety was his top priority. And that's when things took a turn. The mother realized her boy was gone. Her heart must have stopped. But others saw it too. The patrons, quick on their feet, spotted that little boy wandering where he shouldn't be. Word spread like wildfire. The reserve's authorities were called, and they came running. They knew this 17-year-old's reputation all too well. Too well, folks. And they were worried, deeply worried, for the little boy's safety. What happened next? Well, the authorities didn't hesitate. They made a choice. Some called it necessary, others called it tragic. They decided there was only one way, one sure way to protect that child. When the moment came, when the 17-year-old was far enough from the boy, and the shot was clear, security fired, and they took his life. A life ended, a story told and retold, a moment that gripped hearts and sparked debates. And that 17-year-old, that dangerous local, he was no ordinary soul. He was someone we all came to know, someone we hold near and dear, a friend, a fallen comrade. To so many, his name was Harambe.
Welcome to the What You Gonna Wanna Do podcast. I am Kevin.
Oh, Weaver Scott Allen.
Ooh.
I'm Caleb.
And our producer, director, Grumpy Gus,
Silas. Yeah.
A lot of technical issues he had to wrestle with.
Yeah, we had a lot of issues today.
A lot of issues.
But we overcome.
We did.
Yeah.
We did
We
overcome.
persevere.
Yes.
Things were a little off kilter to begin with.
Yeah.
Some might say.
Yeah.
Out of balance.
Askew.
Askew. That's a nice word.
Half a bubble off plumb.
That's right. But we digress.
We've been gone for a bit, but we're back and at it. Scott's been out touring with Nick Cave.
Yeah. Great show, by the way.
Yeah.
Silas has been off
Studying abroad.
Studying abroad.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Caleb has been building several Habitat for Humanity homes.
Sure.
Well, as you saw from our open, it's a nice topic, Caleb.
It's Harambe.
It's Harambe.
Yeah. The gorilla we all know and love.
Yes.
Very near and dear to Caleb's heart.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
And you know what? We have a photo of Caleb with a statue of Harambe
that
right
is
here.
a very unflattering picture and very unfortunate that you brought that up.
Wow.
I think Harambe looks fine in that picture.
Harambe's not the one I'm worried about. But this story's gripped me from
Yeah.
the initial event.
You were a young man when this all transpired.
I was a younger man.
A younger man.
Still an adult male. But yes.
Oh yeah,
Younger.
Well, you were young.
Older than Harambe.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Taken too soon. Too young.
Yeah.
How long has he been gone? Do you know? Do you
Oh,
recall?
no. I try not to think about the death and try to celebrate the life.
Yeah.
Too soon. 17 years.
17 years.
17 years young
Yeah.
and just taken from this world.
An
Yeah.
eastern lowland gorilla.
Yeah. Didn't even
Oh, was it? Okay. He was
even-
a lowland gorilla?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Didn't even get the
They're
right to
the
trial.
largest of the gorillas. No, didn't get a
Silverback.
Didn't
Yeah.
get to hear. Didn't get to make his.
Not a fair shake.
No,
Make his mark on the...
Yeah. And you know,
gone all too soon.
Yeah.
I just as a young boy, one of my favorite cartoons was the Tarzan animated movie by Disney, and I thought
Yeah.
I felt like we missed a golden opportunity to see a young boy
Oh, yeah.
raised by a gorilla.
Raised by a gorilla.
Yeah, because if you look back at the footage, are there some times where the boy was, I don't want to use the term serious danger because I don't want to speak ill of the dead.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to throw that out there. But were there times where he was less than paternal? Yeah.
Yeah.
He drug him through the water a little bit.
Yeah.
It looked sketchy at times.
Looks
But I also got to say,
It's a little sketchy.
17, you know?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sure that his mother never let him hold a baby.
That's
You
true.
can sympathize.
I can sympathize.
Yeah.
You were the first baby I ever held. My
Exactly.
mother wouldn't let me even breathe near a baby.
Yeah, and you were terrified.
I was scared to death.
And I'm sure, left to your own devices, if you would have had to hold a baby by your first time on your lonesome, you
17.
may have drug him through a puddle.
I'm not sure I would have done that, but
You never know. You never know. In the
When
in
I
the
was
shock,
17, possible.
in the shock and terror of the moment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
baby's crying. You don't know what you're doing.
Maybe this will keep him quiet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
Drag
just
him
trying
through
to
the
have
water.
fun.
Yeah, because that
He
usually works.
loves the water.
Yeah. It's
It
cool,
doesn't love water.
soothing.
Yeah,
It'll stop the
right.
cries.
Could you imagine going to the zoo and there's a small boy being raised by the gorilla?
Yeah.
I think that's a miss. I think the Cincinnati. Sorry, Columbus, you didn't do this, and you never would. You would never shoot a gorilla, but Cincinnati, they were just waiting
Columbus
for.
may have shot the boy.
Maybe. Oh, boy. You know,
Get in there.
I've heard people getting shot at the Chicago Zoo. I'm just kidding. That was a bad joke. That was a bad joke. But
yeah, I agree. I agree. A missed opportunity.
it was,
had
and it could
here.
have been an attraction.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, in the
And as
university.
a kind of a look ahead to what we'll be talking about later on, they could have maybe got rid of his clothes and sewed some fig leaves on him.
Okay. But I think maybe the University of Cincinnati could have gotten in on it and done some sort of case study sort of stuff, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Try to track the development of the child.
Oh,
That'd be
absolutely.
interesting because, I mean, at this point, you can already talk. You know, he's 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is he going to teach the gorillas to
Yeah,
Right. Are
They've
they going to
learned
start
sign language.
communicate? Is this how the Planet of the Apes movie got started?
I think you've got something.
It's not too different, you know? I don't think.
It probably started with a little boy.
Talking to
Yeah,
gorillas, I think. Sure, probably.
yeah. I think in the movie though they took out their vocal.
That makes sense. Yeah.
You know, they didn't like them talking.
No, they did not like the humans talking.
Because that
If I remember
kind of-
correctly.
They find their
What
voices
good
grating.
movies that really stand up. I didn't recently just try to make it through all of them and watch way too many of them to realize that, and when I
doesn't
say
end well. It usually does.
it doesn't. It's such a strange premise for a movie. And I watched all of them, all the old ones.
Oh, you did.
Yeah,
The whole
I've
thing.
actually got.
Do you have
I
some
gave
favorites?
up. I gave up. Oh, where do I even start?
Wasn't the first one the best?
The first one's the best by far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the first one probably
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah. After that, it got.
It gets a little.
I want to say
Chuck and any of the other ones?
Chuck's in the second one.
Yeah, he's in there for a bit
Yeah, not very long.
because James Franciscus
Comes in.
comes in and
He's like the new.
he's the new Chuck, or he doesn't.
That's the one with Soupy Sales.
Oh,
Oh, what?
is he one of the guys that were bald that was worshiping the nuclear bomb? Maybe.
Worshipping the bomb. Yeah, spoiler alerts. I mean, that movie is wild.
Maybe Soupy was one of those guys.
I don't know what they were. I'm sure they were trying to make some sort of political commentary. I'm sure
I
that's
think-
what it was.
oh, yeah,
But
you-
I missed it. You know, I wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think I kind of got it, but I also think I'm overall missed it. And
Maybe
don't-
overall missed it.
Yeah, I don't really get what they were getting at.
I think it's a little weird.
Yeah,
You know,
I would assume drugs are involved.
it's got to be 70s.
Probably.
Yeah, it's got to be
What if we made
drugs or
yeah,
cocaine or
Yeah.
something.
in
And
a nuclear bomb cult? I don't.
yeah.
Okay.
Could you see these guys with 8 masks sniffing cocaine? Hey, you're on the set. You're doing here. Oh,
Okay. All right.
excuse me. I'll be right there. That guy.
It's time for the. Hey guys, it's time for the worshiping the bomb scene.
Yeah, we got to worship. Get your nose out of that cocaine. But again, I'm sorry. We
Cocaine might have been the most normal thing on that set.
Oh, probably was.
yeah. Well, boy, that's a sentence.
But back to Harambe.
Yeah, Harambe. But I think Harambe should have had a chance to raise the child, and I think he should have maybe had his day in court
Yeah, he should have at least
to
had it.
try
I mean, because
and get custody.
yeah,
I don't want to speak ill of this mother. I don't know her, but I wouldn't say she was doing the best job.
Yeah.
You know, all the reports say, you know, she was so attentive. Well,
Yeah, it's not like she was making a blueberry pie to sit out on the sill and
Right.
just forgot her kids were out there.
right, but I also have multiple children, and I've never had one of them crawl into a gorilla exhibit.
No?
Yeah, not once. And I've been to the zoo with my kids.
That's
Right.
amazing.
I mean,
Yeah.
well, the odds are pretty good
I've been in
then.
places like that where you almost felt like throwing one of your children in.
Wow, that's one of your children. That's
One of your
concerning.
children.
But you
I
know,
mean, but you resist.
But
You
you
resist
yeah.
that temptation.
yeah. And I just don't.
Another tie and nice guy.
I don't know how the kids. I just don't know how you let a kid get away in a situation, in a scenario where there's some dangers.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
is.
I don't know how long you have to look away before he's in a gorilla thing.
Yeah, that's the thing that I thought was a little odd. You know, you hear about it in the stories. And
Yeah.
it's like, well, where, you know, when is the time that you're looking for your child? You know, that happens
Right.
to be, you know, whatever.
Yeah,
It's just strange.
very strange. It doesn't make
You
any
also
sense.
got to
to me.
wonder what this kid's doing nowadays. I mean,
Sure, yeah, the fella now.
possibly an adult by now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
is he gone into the military? Is he breaking in? You know,
you think in guerrilla warfare?
perhaps, but he could be breaking in places and rescuing people. You know,
Yeah.
because he's pretty good at breaking into places he shouldn't be.
Or maybe now he's like Jane Goodall.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe
Now he's doing some
something like that.
Gorillas of the Mist
That could
Part
be.
2 sort of stuff.
Part 2, yeah.
Where he's out there and he's talking with the animals, walking with the animals, Dr. Dolittle style.
Yes, I feel that's a possible truth.
Yeah. So we don't really know.
We
never know.
His name is
God bless him, though.
We'll
Right.
probably never
Bless
know
him.
his name. It's
We'll
probably
never,
been
no, because it wasn't in the reports.
no. They don't want you to know.
Not a 3-year-old, and that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want that on your permanent record.
No.
Hey, aren't you
You're
the kid that killed Harambe?
Yeah.
I mean, even though didn't murder him, but
he
anyway.
wasn't. Your kid wasn't even in kindergarten yet.
Yeah.
No,
You got
Preschool.
that on your rap sheet.
Preschool, and you've already taken out
Did that?
a beloved hero.
Yeah, that gorilla. I mean, the one. You got
You're the one from
the first one to get a swirly from a gorilla.
Yeah.
Where'd that? I thought that was you.
Hey, aren't you wasn't that whole Harambe thing? That was you, right?
Yeah.
But
I remember you.
yeah,
I remember you.
I love that gorilla.
I love that gorilla.
We'd go see him every weekend.
till you
Till
climbed into his habitat.
What I didn't understand when it happened. Don't they have like tranquilizer dart guns that they could just? Why'd they have to kill him?
Right.
Why can't they just put him, sleep?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. True.
I mean, do they not act fast enough? Are they afraid that he would become violent once that happened?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
You gotta think they would have enough that they could do it quickly and it not be a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That's
I mean,
a good question, though.
Because you almost feel like if he was going to harm the little boy, he probably would have done it immediately. Don't you think so?
Well, somewhat when you drag a boy through the water, that's not what I call non-harm.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
true. But I mean,
also tough love, natural repercussions for our actions.
you don't belong here.
Yeah, you climb into an exhibit.
I'm being kind and not ripping your limbs off.
Lesson learned,
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Because, I
Yeah,
mean,
guys,
we're talking about a powerful creature here that
enlightening.
probably could have easily ripped his limbs off.
That's
For
true.
sure, let rip his limbs off.
Yeah.
That's I think that's part of it. And
That's true.
I think,
good point. Very good point.
and I think male gorillas, if I'm not mistaken, are not really part of the nurturing process.
Oh
No, I think the females chase them off, which is the same with a lot of,
Oh yeah.
creatures, because the, males will just kill them.
Yeah.
So they'll chase the males
chase them
off to
off.
protect the babies.
Yeah.
So, and a 3-year-old child, probably roughly the size of an infant,
Yeah. True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
gorilla, because we're talking about a massive creature.
Right.
What are they, like 500-600 pounds? Something like that,
gosh.
maybe
Oh,
more.
so big and just
So powerful,
stacked.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. They're just
just the muscle.
I mean,
muscle
and you
on
hear
muscle.
like people talking about like how many men could would it take to beat up a gorilla and stuff like that. And,
Yeah. It just
I'm not
takes-
going to be one of them men.
It just takes one security guard with too much gumption.
Yeah.
Of course, these men in these scenarios are unarmed. That guy was clearly heavily armed.
True.
So heavily armed that it killed a gorilla.
I've seen videos and stuff where they've been in the jungles,
The mighty jungle.
Yep. And they'll, accidentally come across them, and like all the people will just like crouch down, and they try to be as calm as possible until they pass by.
Like be passive and submissive.
Yep.
Don't show your teeth.
Don't show your teeth. Don't look at them.
See, that's what I'd be. I think my initial response would be like to greet. So I think I'd go teeth pretty fast. Hey. And then you're up.
Who are you?
Yeah.
Oh, there's my arm.
There it goes.
There it goes.
I think
They're like the knight in the.
how about
It is but a scratch.
But I think if I were to run up on a gorilla outside of captivity, I'd be like, hey, listen, I was on Harambe's side. I think that's the way I'd get into it.
There you go. That'd be the way to
Listen,
start.
hey, I don't want any trouble.
But you might want to do it like this. Like,
Yeah.
But that's
I was on Harambe's side.
well, but I feel like I need to justify. I feel like I need to justify. I feel like I need to gesture. I feel like I need to make
I
eye
don't think
contact.
gestures
But I feel like
or
I
eye
have
contact
to.
are
Hey,
things you want to do.
I think I'd be like, hey, I just look them dead in the eye and be like, hey, listen, shit. Hey, I was on Harambe's side, you know?
Yeah, I think that'd be the last move you'd make.
You think so?
I think that'd be it.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, well, noted. I'll try to remember that if I ever run up on a gorilla, you know? But I think that's the way I break the ice. Like, listen, I'll be honest with you. I don't think they should have shot Harambe. I think that, you don't think that would get me anywhere?
No. Because, I mean, you got to imagine if you're in the jungle where they're at,
Yeah.
that they probably don't speak English.
Okay, you think they have their own?
Whatever it is, it's not English.
Yeah. What if I did like a series of grunts and chest
That would be a really bad move.
Yeah, I could see where that would go wrong because, and a lot because I don't know what those things mean.
They seem aggressive.
They do seem aggressive.
Just aggressive.
But I think the most aggressive thing you can do in the ape community is get a hand up here and start making high sounds.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I think that's like, let's get after it.
Oh,
we're about to do this thing.
Oh, man.
It's time to throw down.
Oh, gosh.
And I'm not trying to fight a gorilla.
No.
But I don't think.
I don't think I'd fight a chimpanzee.
No,
I don't. No, any ape creature, I don't think I'm going after.
Spider monkey?
Did I ever tell you that I once watched a bonobo monkey guide its own poop out of its butt
Oh, wow.
and bite it like a Hershey bar?
Oh, gosh. Oh, my.
But I digress.
You
That's
definitely do.
Yeah.
That's an image.
Yeah.
It's an image I like to paint
It's
in other
worse than
people's heads.
Caddyshack. Much worse.
Yeah, I think, but it's something to think about.
Yeah.
To think about, all right.
And something to quickly forget.
Yeah, I wouldn't linger on it too much, and I certainly would try to not mentally image.
Oh, that's already happened.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sorry.
that's
We've lost half our
Yeah,
3 people that were watching this.
that's fair. That's fair.
We're down to a person and a half.
But I think I could have helped Harambe out had we gotten to the court of law.
Through your
attorney.
Your gorilla attorney.
I think I could have been his. I think I could have represented him in the paternity, in the well, not paternity because he's clearly not the father because he's a gorilla and this was a human child. But I do think I could have got him custody of this child because Harambe, in my
was
eyes,
abandoned.
the child was abandoned.
Well, certainly the negligence. Yeah, the
Negligence was there. Yeah. Yep. Neglect, negligence. It was there. It was there. He had a case for that.
But maybe the mom, maybe one of the other children was trying to climb into the cage with the lions.
No, there's no reports of that. And you know what?
Hippopotamus, which kills more animals, or which kills more people than any other
Yeah, there were
animal.
no reports of any of her other children trying to get into other exhibits. But
Yeah, no reports because she stopped them.
Yeah.
But the
people
3-year-old,
had eyes; they could have seen.
3-year-old was more crafty than the other kids.
Oh, come on! What are we doing? Anyways,
This one was anyway.
listen. So Harambe, a jungle creature.
Yeah.
And the law of the jungle is finders keepers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a couple others, but that's
But that's one of the biggest ones. That's the big one, though. That's right. It's right. As you walk into the jungle, it's on the sign right there. It's posted, "Welcome to the jungle.
I understand.
We've got fun and games." Underneath there, we start. We'll listen to rules because the fun and games isn't all. It's not all fun and games. They have it, but it's not all that's there.
no
Rule number 1: finders keepers.
finders.
Okay, and Harambe was trying to adhere to that, I believe.
Oh, okay.
This is what he knows. I think it was wrong of us to impose otherwise on him and to take his life.
So where does the law of the jungle, the other one, the eat or be eaten?
Eat or be eaten, that's probably 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
But it's close. Yeah. But I do not think he was willing to invoke long number 2.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think we're ever going to get there. But I think law number 1, I think he was staking his claim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
From what I
Yeah,
understand,
that's
he
fair.
was singing, I want to be a man cub.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that was an orangutan.
About learning about man's red fire.
Yeah, he did want to learn. Yes, I do think he wanted to learn about man red fire. Yeah, I do. I think that's true.
Probably learned to learn from a 3-year-old.
Probably not.
So, what would your opening argument?
Well,
be
I
if
think
you addressed the court, the jury.
I think you start.
This is your jury.
Oh yeah, good.
Ladies and gentlemen of
good.
the jury, I come to you today, a man seeking a home for this neglected child, a mother clearly negligent, clearly uncaring, overwhelmed with the children she already has, and a father, a loving father, who embraced this child that was dropped on him. He didn't ask for this. He's a young man, but he cares for this kid. And sure, sometimes he can be a bit harsh. Sometimes he can be a bit gruff. But he's teaching him the way of life, because things aren't always easy. You know?
Right.
And our actions do have consequences.
Yeah, yeah.
Sometimes life drags us through that puddle. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, especially for 3-year-olds. Life really isn't easy.
It's not. It's all about survival.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, as someone who's raised 3-year-old boys, they're resilient. They're strong. They'll drag themselves through a puddle.
They will.
Themselves through a puddle.
Yeah. And I think if you want to embrace the raw masculinity that is in a young man, then what better to raise him?
A better fatherly example.
What better father example
than
the wild, unbridled power of a male gorilla?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's untapped.
You know,
potential.
call me crazy, but this is sounding more rational.
I know.
The more you go.
I know.
I mean, I could be one of those jurors, and I think I'm already there.
Yeah. Now we see
Harambe's for innocence.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. He did. Well, he never did anything. I mean, it wasn't his fault.
No,
he didn't.
no,
He didn't
it
beckon the kid.
No, that's true. He
In
didn't.
fact, I'm sure that Harambe made sure there were proper signage posted. Hey, probably don't come in here. Because we're gorillas. We aren't people.
Hey, we're gorillas. Hey,
Gorillas, what are you doing? Hey, what are you doing?
Well,
I'm
you
a
come in
gorilla.
here. What are you looking at me for? You
just come in here.
yeah, you come in here, you look at me.
What are you looking at me for?
Hey,
you want to drag you? I'm gonna drag you this far. You keep looking at me, kid.
yeah. You're not a good boy, kid.
Turned into Yogi Bear on Sunday.
No, Yogi's more. Hey, boo boo. What are you doing in my?
Hey, Harambe.
Hey there, kid. But at the end of the day, I think this kid would have lived a different life. Sure,
That's for
if
sure.
Harambe would have been given custody, it would have been not a traditional upbringing.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
I think it would be
not in a traditional sense, but I think a rewarding life. You know, I think he would have learned a lot of skills that I'm sure he didn't come to develop.
Probably not.
I bet he can't, climb a tree the best that someone could.
Probably not.
I bet he just uses his feet like feet and not like hands.
Yeah.
I've said that
Can't peel a
about
banana with his feet.
With his feet.
I've been saying that about kids for years. I bet they just use their feet like feet.
Yep.
But this kid, he could have learned that. Just the upper body strength alone, from doing a lot of this stuff, using it as a little bit of walking.
Yep.
Yeah. Could have got closer with the animal kingdom,
Yeah.
really giving us an insight on what gorillas are about.
See, I think that's important.
I know. Jane Goodall tried to figure it out, but she wasn't in it, she wasn't a gorilla. But this boy could have been a little bit like a gorilla.
Yeah. He had a more.
He would have rode around on the elephants and stuff.
For sure, yeah. And I think we could have got some good intel, some good gorilla intel, see what the gorillas are about. He could have kind of been like our man on the inside for gorillas.
Yeah.
Right. Because haven't you found yourself, Scott? I know you have, just from other conversations that we've had, just to be like, well, I wonder Listen, I know what we're doing out here, but what are the gorillas up to back there? What are they getting at?
What are they doing?
What are they trying to do? How's society growing for them? What's their infrastructure look like? Yeah. What are some things that we could take from the gorillas that we could apply to us as humanity and maybe clean some stuff up?
Yeah.
Like maybe they got some economic things that we could learn from.
That's true.
Yeah. How socialism worked for the gorilla.
Yeah.
You know? Because I would argue gorillas probably doing a lot of socialist type things. But maybe not. Maybe they're. I don't see them as capitalists, but they could be. Maybe it's a big. They're doing a lot of market stuff. They're like, hey, I'm trying to get this whole banana hut up and running. Yep. And if you're not paying me a good wage for running this banana hut, then what are we all doing here? I'm out. I will. But don't make my kid work because child labor. We don't know what they're into.
That's true. That's absolutely
We don't even
true.
know the comings and goings of how gorillas work.
We'll probably never know now.
No, but we could have.
We could have. I think we would.
We could have a man on the
so
inside.
Close.
Yeah.
Yeah, so close. Yeah, there's this character in the Land of the Lost that I feel is very similar to what the boy would have been.
Yeah.
Just with a lot more hair.
Yeah.
All over.
Right. Yeah.
So not exact.
No.
Close. Check it out, people. Land of the Lost. I don't know what the character is. He was like 6'7", but he had a bunch of hair, except for he had a human face.
Yeah.
But he was something.
Okay. Yeah, sounds like he was really something. Yeah. I picture kind of like that, but like a Tarzan type figure.
Yeah, like a little. Yeah.
And I think
a Mowgli or a Tarzan.
Mowgli, Tarzan. I mean, Mowgli turned out to be a pretty good kid.
Yeah, he was a good kid.
Yeah.
I never really I didn't see if they made a Jungle Book 2, but from what I understand, he seemed to assimilate into the village. Once he found that there were human women, isn't that how the downfall of every man starts? But once he found out there were human women, he's like, well, this wolf stuff's been okay, But I'm kind of, it's getting a little old.
It's getting a little old.
And I'm sure it would have happened the same for the Harambe kid, I think. But
some pretty girl comes in the zoo one day.
Yeah, and she's gonna
climbs out of the gorilla exhibit.
Yeah, and if the Jungle Book's taught us anything, it's just a girl going to get water. And anytime a girl gets water, apparently that's the most attractive thing to a man.
Apparently,
yeah. And that's what does them in.
Up at him,
and he's like, "Oh boy!"
And then she says something like, "You got to get a job. You're going to support us." And then he kind of crawls back in.
Right. He's like, "What do you support?" Why? I need you to quit acting like a stupid gorilla.
I get bananas for free.
Some kind of animal, or
he's like, listen, we had an autonomous collective out here.
Yeah, we had an autonomous collective. You've ruined it. You've undermined it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go back in.
I don't want to
feel like I've got to go back in.
I don't want to work for somebody else when I can go back out into the what? I can go back in the jungle and be my own boss.
Yeah. Whatever I get, I get.
That's mine.
I don't have to give half to you.
Yeah. No, and I wasn't working all day. I wasn't working 9 to 5 for some man just to give me my wage. I was earning my own wage, doing my own thing, doing what I loved.
That's right. Yeah. If I go out to the jungle and forage for 24 bananas, guess what? They're all for me.
24 bananas.
But if it's
I'm 24 bananas up.
Yeah, I've got to give you at least 12 of them.
Yeah. And all day long, I'm collecting the bananas for this guy. Yeah. And he only gives me just a little portion of bananas.
Yeah.
What's this all about? Well, about these bananas.
Yeah. They actually don't do any banana stuff. It's just colored paper. And he's like, colored paper? We don't even have that in the jungle. If I was just going around passing out leaves, you know what the gorillas would do? They would freak out. Just passing out leaves. That's insanity.
Yeah.
I get a face full of poop flung at me.
Yeah. And not my own either.
That's right.
No, it'd be
somebody else.
Yeah.
Just the worst.
And not in the nice way.
Yeah, not in an unintentional kind of haphazard way. An actual intended, here comes some dung at you. I aimed right at you.
Right. You think bad when poop hits the fan. You've obviously never had it thrown at you.
Yeah. Oh, it's a terrible life. Yeah, you can see why he may want to stay in the jungle.
And this is just another reason, jurors, I beg of you, to hear me out.
Yeah.
I think his life would have been more enriched.
I think so too. I think our lives would have been more enriched.
I think for sure. The ways of the gorilla are simple, but very productive and very, very rewarding.
Yeah. Oh, deep.
The ways of the gorilla are a rewarding life.
Yeah.
Till the pretty girl comes along in the zoo
and ruins it for everybody.
Yeah. Isn't that
and
the
then
way?
One day, little grown-up little boys, doing his 9-to-5 job, has problems with a coworker.
Bringing home bananas.
Next thing you know, he's
Slinging poop.
Slinging poop. Right at you.
In the office.
He comes home, he's lost his job. She's upset. She's like, why? This is the 5th job this year. He's like, listen, I can't help it. You Americans have an issue with the way us gorillas handle ourselves.
Wait a minute. Be careful. Just a phrase.
Yeah. And then, that's probably when he goes back. That's probably after he loses his 5th job in the year, calendar year. She's on him again.
Yeah.
He's like, listen, I just gotta go back
with Papa Harambe.
Yeah. But I think, in the end, it didn't have to go down like that.
No,
I think it could have been a more enjoyable ending for all of us.
Yeah.
But we'll never really get to see that tale.
Yeah, what happened to the days, or maybe in the movies, but maybe in my own head, when the boy just takes a little ride on Harambe's back for a little circle, and lets him off and pats his butt, and he goes back to his mom and dad.
Yeah.
No, this didn't end that way. It was a different. Harambe did a different style of parenting.
Yeah.
And I think he was condemned for it.
Right. And I think we were too quick to judge.
Yeah. I got
let it play out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think so.
Let it unfold. Yeah.
Where was the guy, who could have he saw the muzzle being pointed and just go, hey, let's just see.
Yeah.
Or where was the Tiananmen Square situation where you just put a flower in there?
Right.
And they're like, hey, man.
You just put a flower.
Hey, man. Let's just see.
Yeah.
I think,
why not?
I think if it would have been at the Columbus Zoo, Jack Hanna
would have been like, this is what I've been waiting for.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, just he would have got a tranquilizer gun.
And shot the
Harambe
kid.
would still be with us.
Oh.
Put the kid to sleep.
The kid's asleep.
If he's not crying, he won't upset the girl.
But yeah, just consider this a cautionary tale, guys.
Yeah.
Don't shoot the gorillas.
In jury, let us know what you decide.
Yeah, let us know, yay or nay, innocent, guilty, or if it's guilty, what sentence are we looking at here?
Or should he had a custody of the kid?
Yeah, that's the other.
Where did we end on that? So, just let us know, and we'll see you on the back end of this.
We're back. And we're moving on with our Bible study, following through the life of Christ. And we're up to temptation.
Sorry.
That's all right.
We have a baby in the other room. Bottle.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm going to start off talking about Adam and Eve in the garden, though. And
In the beginning,
way back when they were in the Garden of Eden. And we can hardly even imagine what that must have been like. We live in, on an earth after the fall. So even, the most beautiful places that we can imagine that we can go to, they're already, I'm lost for the word that I'm looking for, but they've deteriorated from
from
what the glory that they once had. So, but Adam and Eve were in this beautiful, perfect garden that God had created, and serpent, which Genesis tells us was more crafty than any of the other creatures, approached Eve and said, and we've used this phrase before when we've been talking, did God actually say you can't eat of any of the trees in the garden? And Eve replied that we can eat the fruit of any of the trees in the garden, but the tree that's in the midst of the garden, we can't eat of it. And she added, we can't even touch it. And whether God had said that to him or not, we don't know, because it's not recorded that he just told him not to eat of it. But she adds, we don't even touch it. The serpent replied that, she said the reason why is because they would die if they ate of it. And he said, you will not die. You will be like God, knowing good from evil. And so Eve looked at it. She saw that it, looked good for fruit, and it was a delight to the eyes, and she ate of it. And she gave it to her husband who was there with her, Adam, and he ate of it. And after they'd eaten of it, they realized for the first time in their lives that they were naked. And they felt ashamed. They went and hurried and sewed fig leaves together to cover their nakedness. And when God came to them, he, condemned them, and he condemned the serpent as well. And that's the whole rest of the story there. But I just want us to focus on this part here where they went through this temptation and they failed. And so that was Adam and Eve, and Jesus is known as the second Adam. And verses 1 Corinthians 15 45 through 47 talks about that. But we're going to get into the Gospels and start talking about Jesus. So Scott's going to start us off with Matthew.
Okay, this is Matthew chapter 4. You're reading verses 1 through 11. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, if you are the Son of God, tell those stones to become bread. Jesus answered, it is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. If you are the Son of God, he said, throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone. Jesus answered him, it is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test. Again, the devil took him to a very high mountain, showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. All this I will give to you, he said, if you will bow down and worship me. Jesus said to him, away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only. Then the devil left him, and angels came and attended him.
Go ahead.
All right, I have Mark 1, 12 and 13. The Spirit immediately drove him out into the wilderness, and he was in the wilderness 40 days, being tempted. This is right? Okay, you just looked over like I wasn't right. Being tempted by Satan, and he was with the wild animals, and the angels were ministering to him.
And in Luke chapter 4, verses 1 through 13, and Jesus, full of the Holy Spirit, returned from the Jordan and was led by the Spirit in the wilderness for 40 days, being tempted by the devil. He ate nothing during those days, and when they were ended, he was hungry. The devil said to him, "If you are the Son of God, command this stone to become bread." And Jesus answered him, "It is written, man shall not live by bread alone." And the devil took him up and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in a moment of time, and said to him, I will give all this authority and their glory, for it has been delivered to me, and I will give it to whom I will. If you then will worship me, it will all be yours. And Jesus answered him, "It is written, you shall worship the Lord your God, and him only shall you serve." And he took him to Jerusalem and set him on the pinnacle of the temple and said to him, "If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down from here. For it is written, he will command his angels concerning you to guard you, and on their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone." And Jesus answered him, "It is said, you shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Then the devil had ended every temptation. He departed from him until an opportune time. So, the gospel accounts, only Matthew, Mark, and Luke talk about the temptation. John doesn't bring it up. But this happened, immediately after Jesus had been baptized, and this spirit, the same spirit that had descended upon him, led him or drove him into the wilderness to be tempted. And none of us have ever been to the Holy Land, but from what I understand, the Judean wilderness where he was is a very desolate place. There's hardly anything there, some rabbits, snakes, a few birds, and it's, scorpions, things like that, but it's not a very hospitable place to be. And this is where Jesus was. And, when you go back to when we were talking about Adam and Eve in the garden, you have the first Adam, and he's being tempted in this lush garden. It's a paradise. And here Jesus is, and he's being tempted in this desolate wilderness. The first Adam could eat freely. He could eat, whatever he wanted from any of the other trees in the garden. And during this time, Jesus was fasting. And, I know myself, if I go too many hours without eating, I start getting hangry, and I'm not very fun to be around. The first Adam had a helpmate there. He was with Eve, his wife. So, he wasn't all alone like Jesus was. And, oftentimes when you are alone, you feel alone, and you're being tempted, those are the hardest times.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You feel despair and, everything else. And it's so easy to let your guard down, and give into temptation in those times. And, the first Adam was just the opposite. He was there with the perfect helpmate that God had created for him. And, the second Adam, Jesus, was there all alone. In both instances, Satan tries to get them to doubt God's word. He said, did God really say to Adam and Eve? And what he says to Jesus is, if you are the Son of God, then turn these stones into bread. I wrote it wrong in my notes.
These breads into stones.
Which would not be good.
Not for eating.
But as far as we know, the last recorded words that Jesus had heard when he came up out of the water was God's voice. And what did he say to him?
This is my beloved Son.
Yeah, in whom I will please. And here's Satan trying to get him to doubt those very words. If you are the Son of God. But Jesus, had his faith, and possibly hearing those words echo, in his mind when he's saying that, this is my beloved son. So he knew that he was the Son of God. Scott, you did a little studying too on the different prides that were being brought up.
Yes.
And with this one, it was
the it's the lust of the flesh because of the hunger.
Because of the hunger.
And that's actually, it's interesting. I was watching some podcasts and they said the first on a tier level of the lusts of the flesh was thirst was the first, I think, then the hunger. And of course, if he's fasting, I don't know, or we may not know whether he wasn't even drinking or water either.
Yeah.
But he certainly wasn't. We know he wasn't eating, and so that's. It's generally held that these, as we'll go on to the other two temptations, that these were, I guess, somewhat biblically understood as the three contextual temptations, lust of the flesh being the first.
Yeah.
But you've got some insight to bring us to one.
Yeah, and what you've studied and what we talked about, that's how I've almost always heard it, preached is, these different lusts, that you're going through, that Jesus was going through as he was being tempted. And so, I took my notes, as I told you guys, from a message I heard R.C. Sproul preach, which I never heard it brought out that way before, and I just thought it was very fascinating. And it doesn't mean that the other way is wrong. So oftentimes there are things in the Bible that we see, and it's true in like multiple layers, as you say. So,
well, just at a quick aside to that, was doing some research and this isn't a revelation to anybody that's Christian or maybe art history, but the idea was back in the Middle Ages, they depicted the devil differently than what would happen in pre and modern eras. And he actually, there's no depiction that he has horns or scaly skin, as a reptilian and all these things. So, that's of course artists and renderings,
right?
But it is people coming together in some sense of anticipating a figure, and like you said, I mean, things are changing, but you gotta, as you understand the Bible, if you're going directly to the source, then you understand that these things, some of these things are through the culture, even the culture of the church somewhere.
Right. Yeah, very true.
So just wanted to throw that in. Yeah. Something I thought was interesting about the depiction of the devil and the event through painting and mosaic, etc.
Yeah, because it's a lot easier to see resisting someone when they come looking that evil as, he's depicted in modern art, obviously.
But the Bible says that he goes around masquerading like an angel of light, right? So it wouldn't appear evil. He'd actually appear the opposite, right?
And the two biggest man-made texts that actually present that's Dante's Inferno and Milton's Paradise Lost.
And Looney Tunes.
Yeah, that was oddly another one. Didn't know that.
Yeah. And one thing you'll see throughout this whole saga here is that Satan knows the Word of God.
Yeah. Enough to twist it.
And he always twists it. And something that I heard this week is, watching different things, is that someone was talking about this aspect, of Satan twisting the word, and compared it to counterfeit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they said that when the agents, the Secret Service agents who investigate counterfeit money, and as they're going through their training, they never once show them a counterfeit bill. They only show them the real thing. And they study the real thing over and over till they know it exactly what it's supposed to look like. And then they can spot a counterfeit like that.
Right.
And that's how we should be with God's word.
Right. Yeah.
We should be so into God's word that we know it. And then when something comes up that doesn't align with God's word, we should spot that just like that.
Yeah.
And obviously Jesus was the word of God.
Yeah.
So he knew it.
Yeah.
And so
Word became flesh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, he said, man shall not live by bread alone, but every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. And then moved on to the second temptation. And the order, you might have noticed, was different. They believe that Matthew's order was the most chronologically correct. So that's what we're going with, because as we're studying through the life of Christ, we're trying to do it as chronological as possible, or as known anyway. So that's what we're trying to stick with. I just kind of like that myself personally. I like chronological order. Yeah. I just like, if I'm watching TV shows, and I enjoy it, like when they will jump back, but if they do it too much, it just messes me all up, and I don't enjoy that so much. I like chronological order. Our dog's not happy. So the next temptation, Satan takes him up on the pinnacle of the temple, and
he's being tempted himself.
Yes, he is. He's giving in to temptation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Satan...
Boy, he's really giving in.
Yes. Satan quotes scripture, if you are the Son of God, then cast yourself down. And he quotes Psalm 91, 11 and 12. He will command his angels concerning you. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. And Jesus replies, not to put the Lord your God to the test, as is written. Where'd my notes go? The next temptation. Oh, Scott, what was the...
Pride of life.
Pride of life, yep.
He wanted to trust... it's funny because it's ironic in a way. He trusts in God, Jesus, of course, and then the devil's trying to trying to catch Jesus,
right?
And ironically, Jesus is God. He knows God. And it's funny that the devil thinks he's going to
trick him.
Yeah.
And of course, Jesus sees through that. Do not put your, Lord your God to the test. I mean, and I think, like you said, the devil knows Scripture. I mean, he's it's called the Prince of the World and other things. That he's really smart in a devious way.
Yeah, very much so.
And it's interesting that he thinks he's going to trip up the Son of God.
Right.
But he, of course he tries. But then that's what's interesting about Kevin bringing up the Garden of Eden, because he trips up us like that.
So easily.
Yeah.
So easily. And that's why
sons of the first.
That's why we needed the second Adam to come, because we're not capable. And we often, will think critically about Adam and Eve because, they fell so easily when they were in this paradise, but
we did the same.
Any of us would have done the same thing. Yeah, we do continuously, Caleb. And none of us would have withstood it. We would have all fallen. And
absolutely.
Another thing that you often see is people will, kind of put the blame on Eve and blame it on woman. But as you heard as I was talking about it, when she gave the fruit to Adam, he was there with her. And, it was his job to step in and defend her from Satan, and he just took a back seat and allowed it to happen. And when God comes to them, he doesn't speak to Eve, he speaks to Adam. What have you done? Putting it on the man. So that kind of gives the ladies a little bit of
reprieve from some of the
if they'll accept it, it was Adam should have been there as her protector and should have stood forward and done that. The next temptation, Satan takes him to a high mountain in a moment of time, and he shows him all the kingdoms of the world. And this shows you that Satan does have some power. Right. Obviously he's not as powerful as God, but in a moment of time he's able to show Jesus all the kingdoms of the world, and promises that if you will bow down, I will give you all. He's claiming that it's mine to give, and he's telling him I'll give it all. And what he is offering Jesus is, Jesus ultimately, is in control of all the kingdoms because of what he will do later, in his life. But Satan is offering this kingdom without suffering. No Gethsemane, no sweating great drops of blood, no betrayal, no humiliating trial, no being scourged with the cat of nine tails, no crown of thorns, no carrying the cross, no nail-pierced hands or feet, no excruciating pain. He's offering, all of it without the suffering. And Jesus just replies, you shall worship the Lord your God and serve him only. And, we should be so thankful, that he was willing to do that, because to me, that would have been the greatest temptation of all the ones that he faced, knowing that why he had come, and, all his life he was looking, ahead to that suffering that he was going to have to go through.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was still willing to do it.
Right.
And,
none of us like to suffer. And if you can get out of suffering somehow, you're going to take that shortcut,
Yeah. And I apologize to our viewers out here and to you both, because when we were talking about the second temptation, the pride of life, it should also be mentioned that it's also understood there that Jesus is, the devil wants him to jump, that his angels will catch him, and that the whole world will see this and convert.
Oh, wow.
As I've understood through some of the research, which points back again to what you're saying about the third temptation, but Jesus knew that the Lord God wanted him to go to the cross.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's how he was going to, he had to cover the sins of people.
Right.
Jumping and angels catching you that's not a sacrifice of Jesus' blood.
No.
And Jesus knows this.
Yeah.
And so the devil's trying to get him to do something easy to show people that who you are, don't have to go through the suffering.
Yeah.
And I meant to mention that was just something that popped into my head, oddly enough, just before you were going into the third temptation. Yeah. But yeah, well, so I apologize to the viewers about that.
That's quite all right. That's a good point. Yeah, and I mean, in that, going back to that, you know, applies to us too, because those scriptures, you know, you can look at it as a Christian. God's going to protect you, but that doesn't mean you should go out and do foolish things and tempt the Lord your God. Yeah. So after Jesus, you know, resisted him for the third time, we see that Satan leaves him. But what does it say? Looking for a more opportune time. And that's how, you know, he always is. He's, you know, as it say, that roaring lion who's seeking to, you know, kill and destroy, and he's always looking for those moments of weakness.
Right.
And he looks for that in us too. And, you know, anytime you watch any kind of animal show and you see, you know, like the animals of prey, you know, they're going to go for whoever is weak and off by themselves, and that's who they go after. They're not going to go right into the middle of the herd. Yeah. They're not going to take on the biggest, you know, male buffalo that's out there or whatever. They're going to go for that weakling that's off by themselves and isolated and take them down. And so that's, you know, a good reason to stay, you know, in the body, stay
fellowship in the Word.
Yep. Stay in the Word, stay close to God, because Satan's looking for that opportune time to take you down. And then, you know, you had the previous temptation where he said that the angels would, you know, catch him and keep him from striking his foot against the ground. And here, after Satan's gone, the angels come and minister to Jesus out in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's just a beautiful bow on the whole thing.
And a wild thing to think about.
It is. Jesus out in the Judean wilderness, you know, possibly having a banquet, you know, with the angels.
Yeah. And by the way, the last temptation was just like you read it. The key was show Jesus through his eyes. So last temptation is just to cap it from that point. It's the lust of the eyes.
Lust of the eyes. Yep. All right. And next week we'll be moving into Jesus starting his ministry, choosing his first disciples, and possibly his first miracle.
And we'll see you after this.
We're back.
Yeah.
Hey. As promised.
Yep.
And we got some Scott's news, right?
Scott's news.
Absolutely. Thank
what
you.
The people are here for.
Some.
Who's gone? Who's here?
Girl, I love that. Who's gone? Who's here? Let's start. Who's gone?
We've got them coming and going.
Yep. So dark.
It's a little dark there, but how about Dave Shapiro, groundbreaking executive, dies in San Diego plane crash, music executive.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then let's go with George Wendt, who played the beloved barfly Norm.
Yep.
He was, and found another home on stage. I'm sorry.
Oh,
But it was
stage
found him in a home. No, he found another home on stage.
Right. Well, sometimes you got to go where everybody knows your name. You know.
Yeah, so true. Good. Well put. How about former infielder Rich Collins, an all-star for the Twins?
Oh,
62.
Big fan of Richard Collins.
Ricky Collins.
Yep.
And that's up. He passed.
He did.
Yeah, for sure. He's definitely dead.
And then, let's go one more here. Oh my, that guy. Yeah, maybe not. That's it.
That's always my favorite.
There's a lot. There's a lot of obscure, talented people, but obscure stuff. Let's go to the. How about some happier? What'd you say here?
Yeah, no. Here.
Who's here? Who just arrived?
Guess who's coming to dinner?
Hey! It's Thomas Eisenhut.
What?
German Kapellmeister organist.
Wow.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. Musicologist and priest both.
And they said it couldn't be done. They broke the mold with that one.
They really did.
Isaac Christian.
What he this world 1644.
He really set this world ablaze.
Yes,
with his priestly organ playing.
Yes.
They say he revolutionized the organ.
Who could forget?
Yeah.
The opening to the sermons, you know.
Dun, 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 dun. Like, this feels aggressive. We'll just wait till there's more.
We'll wait till there's more. Till more's written.
Yeah.
This is all we got.
Yeah.
How about let's move it up a couple hundred years. 1844. How about that?
What a year!
Oh gosh, you said it. Abdul Baha, Persian successor and head of the Baha faith.
Yeah, that's Rainn Wilson of Dwight Schrute of The Office fame. Is Baha'ist.
Is he?
Baha'ism.
Really?
Baha'i.
Yeah, that's what it says.
That's what his family was raised that way, right?
Yeah, it's a cult.
It's a cult.
No, for sure.
How,
Can't imagine Dwight being in a cult.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of feels pretty right on par.
Yeah.
Douglas Fairbanks, the actor.
Yeah.
He did Marcus
Not the basketball player?
No, not that Douglas Fairbanks. This is the other.
The infamous Douglas Fairbanks from Marcus Zorro.
Marcus Zorro.
Which I think, if I'm not mistaken, is a Z, right?
Oh, yeah.
There's a whole song about it, I think.
1910 born. How about Benjamin? Nobody would know him as Benjamin, but how about Scatman Crothers?
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, you probably...
Yeah.
American singer, musician.
Right. Jazz.
Yeah. An actor, Chico and the Man.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, The Shining. He was in The Shining.
Was he one of those little girls?
Remember the axe that he put through the door?
Yeah,
he was the axe.
That was the guy. Yeah. I feel we're gonna get some corrections on that. Maybe
you don't think he was? You think some people think he wasn't the axe?
Well, check me on it, bud.
I don't think he was one of the little girls.
Well,
you heard it here first. My dad thinks this guy's a little girl.
I don't know
about
that guy. Let's just go on for a bit here.
I prefer when you don't know, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, let's do one more known one. I'll give you one more, even more known.
Okay.
Joan Collins.
Oh.
92nd birthday.
Wow. Happy 92nd, Joan Collins.
She's still with us, yeah.
Wow.
Joan Collins.
And we all know Joan Collins from
Scott's football team.
Yeah, football team.
Yeah, but even more famous for,
Dynasty.
Oh, yes.
That's the one.
Yeah.
The show Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty.
Yes.
Let's.
That's not the one where they shot JR.
No,
But it's not the one.
it was a knockoff kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
All right. Let's go. Let's go with this one. I told you this is going to be a zinger. Lars Aka Nilsson. You know who he is?
Of course.
The Nielsen rating.
Yeah. Take a guess of all the professions that that he could be. Lars Aka Nilsson. Lars. Does that give you an idea where he's from?
German.
Close. It's
Scandinavian.
Even closer, somewhere in that ballpark. Ends in ish, Swedish.
Oh, chocolates.
Absolutely. He's the Swedish diplomat.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Swedish diplomat. Lars,
Maybe of chocolate.
Probably. I mean, I get
Fish.
I'm sure that chocolate. He uses chocolate in some way because that's kind of one of their things.
If you're going to be diplomatic, you can be bringing chocolate.
What's more diplomatic? Of all the foods one can bring,
That's true. Who wouldn't?
or an army knife.
True.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think maybe that is aggressive
That's a little.
because it's their army. It's one of the only things their army does.
That's true.
Yeah.
Right.
What do you got? Well, how's your military? Well, we make a lot of knives.
Got a corkscrew.
Corkscrew.
And also,
Does your knife have a corkscrew?
yeah. Can you fix your cuticles?
Oh yeah.
It's my knife.
And a can.
Yeah, open a can. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Can yours open a can? Yeah.
With little scissors.
Compass.
Little scissors.
Right. Little scissors.
Yeah. Can you? Yeah.
Or
A tiny Phillips
or
head.
cut the hair of small woodland creatures.
That's right.
Cut the hair of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. We got to get to the killing them for food, but we're going to cut the hair.
Groom them
nice.
first.
gotta be
We're not monsters.
They need to be well
Yeah,
groomed.
we're not some kind of monsters. We're going to groom you first,
We're
and
not
then
gonna
the
eat it.
shit goes in.
We're not going to eat an unkempt squirrel.
Shank.
Could you imagine?
Who wants to eat unkept squirrel? Nobody.
And God forbid you have a military man out there in the wilderness with a hangnail. You got to get that off.
Yeah, you gotta get that off.
Yeah.
I won't eat rabbit unless they're completely dressed, and by dressed I mean
Shave.
crew cut, top hat and tail. Throw them over.
Well manicured.
Well manicured. Yeah, who wants so gnarly nails? When
Yeah.
you're,
Wait. Is the rabbit's foot even lucky if he isn't? If it isn't?
Oh, good point.
And
Had
they
a
should
mani-
have like a little champagne before you kill them too.
What?
They should have a little champagne.
Yeah, there's the
for
court.
toast.
That's where the
For
court.
the last drink.
Toast to you.
Huzzah!
And then the hatchet comes down. That's
Right.
Yeah.
There's a hatchet on the Swiss Army.
Oh
knife?
no, that's
Oh
that's right.
man.
No, they can't do that.
No,
do
they kind of just poke it with the little I guess it's a blade.
Just
mean,
poke it a
That
little
glorified letter opener.
There's the Phillips head screwdriver.
bit. The Phillips head screwdriver.
Yeah, they could adjust its glasses and then stab it to death. Stab it to death.
Well, is that
No, that's it.
That's it.
Everybody's
all.
alive.
In
That's who's
keeping-
alive and that's who's dead.
In keeping with our theme from our first section, I have some little quiz for you guys on famous
Amos.
primates.
Oh no.
They could be real, or they could be fictional.
Okay. All right.
I know them all.
I'm sure you do.
Prepare to get blown out of the water, Scott.
Which primate is known for being the first chimpanzee to orbit the Earth? You guys can answer right off, or if not, I can give you multiple choice.
Okay.
Oh, this is
I'm going to
a name?
answer it. Mr. Chips.
No.
Dang on it.
Do you want the multiple
I think
choice?
Silas knows. He's scratching his head.
I think I'll take the multiple choice.
We have A, Coco,
Coco.
B, Ham, C, Bubbles, or D, Kanzai.
Tang. Or what?
Kanzai.
I think it was Coco, probably. Nope. Yes. Hold on.
Hold on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Coco. Oof. Feels like I probably built them.
What are you going with?
Could be either. Scott, what do you got?
I had Mr. Chips. Clearly, that's not one of the choices, so I'm out.
I'll go.
You can guess again, though.
What if I took it like a roulette wheel? I'm gonna put some on, black 10, but I'm also gonna put a little bit on red 9.
So you're going with possibly cocoa, possibly bubbles?
Yeah.
Well, that's ham.
Ham? It's ham. Well, it's ham.
I'm sure named after Noah's son.
Perhaps.
No doubt.
He only has one M, though.
Who also was well known for going on a ship.
That's true.
True.
Biblical.
Yeah, very good.
You're welcome. I just tied that all in. This is
beautiful.
This
Number
is the most
2
interwoven episode we've ever done.
Yeah, I feel like
Number
it
2. This fictional gorilla is the king of Skull Island and a cinematic icon since 1933.
You got this one.
It's all you.
Well, you got it.
Well, I'm sure you're a fan.
Well, but you got it.
I know. I couldn't do that to you.
You sure?
After you
All
said
right. Godzilla.
Never guessed you'd miss that one.
It's multiple choice.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to wait till he gives you the options?
You want the choices?
Yeah, let's get a choice.
You can go with A, Donkey Kong.
No.
B, King Kong.
Sounds more right.
C,
Sounds familiar.
Mighty Joe Young. Or D, Caesar.
Caesar.
Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes. Isn't that?
Yeah, Caesar.
There's
Planet
another
of the Apes.
tie-in, isn't it?
I love Planet of the Apes. But not in a more real sense, I do not.
But we all know that it's
King Kong.
Oh, okay. You were so close because they fought for a minute.
Yes.
Or did they get along? I really don't think I understood what was happening.
Sometimes they got along, and sometimes they.
Well, had a brotherly type of relationship.
Yeah.
which gorilla
Give each other.
became famous for learning sign language and communicating
Coco.
with humans. It is Coco.
Oh, good job, man.
Very good.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
I did not know that at all. Really, seriously.
This fictional primate is the Curious
George.
What gave it away?
You said curious. You should have left curious.
What gave it
Oh,
away?
that's fair.
What subtle
I wouldn't have used that.
subtle hint gave it away?
Which chimpanzee was Michael Jackson's pet and appeared in his music videos during the 1980s?
Is that Bubbles?
Oh, that sounds right.
It is Bubbles.
Okay, because it sounds
Good job, man. That's sharp.
That sounds like something he would have caught a thing.
Bubbles.
True.
Bubbles.
This fictional orangutan
King Louis.
King Louis. Yeah.
is the wise librarian in Terry Pratchett's Discworld series.
Oh.
What kind of crap are you making?
Well, this is a stupid question.
Oh, yeah, I know that one.
Do you?
Yeah. Mr. Chips.
Here's the multiple choice.
Okay.
All right.
And I didn't write these. So it's which is the wise librarian, okay?
Okay.
Your choices are Cornelius.
Yukon Cornelius.
A. That's B is the librarian. C. Zira or D. Maurice.
The name of the character is the librarian?
It very much is, Caleb.
It is?
Oh, I feel a little slighted.
I do too.
That's underwhelming.
You think
This
maybe...
one. I'll be surprised if you get this one. Which real-life gorilla gained worldwide attention after his death in 2016 at the Cincinnati Zoo?
It's on the tip of my tongue.
Let me get a...
What is it?
see what I
Something with an H, Scott. Hector, you think?
Do you want the multiple choice?
Yeah, no. It's Harambe.
Highland.
It is the wrong way.
Howland County. Harambe.
Hey.
This fictional chimpanzee leads a revolution in the modern Planet of the Apes series.
Caesar.
Caesar, gotta be.
It is Caesar.
Good job, Caleb.
Which primate is the loyal monkey companion to Aladdin in Disney's animated film?
Abu.
Good job.
Man, you know your Disney.
You know the Disney. I'm telling you.
I know my fictional primates.
This fictional gorilla is a video game character.
Donkey Kong.
Oh, it's gosh.
You got it right.
Diddy Kong.
Diddy Kong.
There's a whole slew of them. There's a lot of Kongs.
Yep. So, I have a list here also of the 20 most famous primates, some of which we've just named.
Oh, okay.
Ham, which, as you know, was the first.
And cheese.
One in space, named after
His orangutan friend,
yeah,
Mr. Cheese.
Maurice.
Crazy old Maurice.
Didn't he do what was that show?
The one with the mustache guy?
No, I can't remember it now. The dance show or something.
Maurice, the dancing
Didn't he
monkey.
host that? Soul Train. That's a Maurice.
A girl hosting Soul Train.
Oh, sorry.
Or orangutan, I'm sorry.
Orangutan?
Snowflake.
Oh, that.
Maurice was from the reboot of Planet of the Apes.
Oh, okay.
What?
Snowflake
I don't know that one.
was a rare albino gorilla at the Barcelona Zoo.
Barcelona.
Barcelona?
Sorry.
Barcelona. That's the way the Spaniards would say it.
Beloved for his unique appearance
Probably because he's
and global fame.
because the albino part. You think?
No, he looked more like a dog.
He had human feet.
He couldn't use them.
He didn't know how.
No thumbs on his feet. It was a weird thing.
Bobo. And I don't remember this.
Bobo?
The baboon from Finding Nemo.
There was a baboon in there?
Yeah, that's what I said. It was actually a mandrill known for his quirky role in the aquarium's escape plan.
Huh. Yeah,
I don't recall that.
Did you say bonobo? Because I got a funny story about a bonobo
No.
monkey. Oh,
We don't want to. Washoe was a real chimpanzee.
it was a real.
He started to do a little.
It was a real.
He learned sign language in the 60s.
Didn't we all,
The
man?
first to
I did a
demonstrate
little Ed Sullivan for a second. He's a
non-human
really big.
primate languages.
Sure.
But, I mean, but all he learned was just peace. Because it was the 60s.
Oh, I got you.
Zira, fictional chimpanzee from
That's
the
the-
original.
Yeah, it's from.
Yeah,
Planet
that's
of
the
the Apes.
original
Yep.
one. Yeah.
Dude, all this Planet of the Apes talk. You know what's making me want to do?
Watch Planet of the Apes.
I don't really want to do that.
Oh, the same talk.
Nim
Same talk.
Chimpsky was a chimpanzee raised in
Wasn't that the writer?
human-like.
No, that's Noam Chomsky.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you just stole my thunder. He was named playfully as a playful jab after.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, me dog. I'm sorry.
He was raised in a human-like environment in the 70s.
human-like.
George.
Costanza.
George.
Oh,
King Louis. We mentioned earlier. He was an orangutan.
yep.
And he could sing. He wanted to be a man.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna be a man cub.
Kanzai was real. He was a bonobo. No. Known for his advanced language comprehension using lexicograms, studied since the 1980s for his cognitive abilities.
I've heard bonobos are very intelligent.
Really?
I guess so.
But I've
Uses
also
lexicograms,
witnessed-
and I don't even know what a lexigram
Yeah, I don't
is.
know what that is either.
I also witnessed a bonobo.
Okay. Cheetah. Fictional chimpanzee was the sidekick of
Tarzan.
Tarzan.
That's the one.
Rafiki.
The Lion King.
Yep.
It's in the past.
It's in the past.
Freaky. Great character.
Our beloved Harambe, a western lowland gorilla.
Pour one out.
He's been gone
long.
these 9 years.
9 years already.
2016.
Wow.
Coco, the gorilla.
Coco. Why do you say it like that? Coco.
Fictional gentle giant from Disney's Coco.
Coco.
Gorilla Grodd.
Oh, that's Flash. One of Flash's villains.
Oh yeah,
Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah.
Bubbles.
Just like the mind stuff.
Yeah, the mine.
Michael Jackson.
Bubbles.
Jane Goodall's David Greybeard. Wild chimpanzee studied by Jane Goodall.
You know what? That Jane Goodall
Tanzania.
She was a weird lady.
Yeah,
Pivotal.
Kind of strange.
One of my favorite Far Side cartoons. It was this gorilla, and he came home to his wife, and she's like pulling his hair off, and you've been with that Jane Goodall tramp again, haven't you? Oh, Far Side.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Then we got Caesar.
Didn't you already talk about this?
No, we talked about that.
Caesar, he's also from Planet of the Apes.
Planet of the Apes.
Coco.
You already
was
said
also
Coco.
a Western. There was another Coco.
Oh, really?
That was, the first one was COCO.
Oh.
He's fictional. KO is real.
Oh, okay.
He was a Western lowland gorilla famous for learning sign language. Don't they all? I mean, at this point.
Yeah.
No. I think you pronounced it wrong the first time.
Coco?
There it is.
Cacao! And number one,
After the chocolate.
King Kong.
King. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just glad there weren't any repeats on that list because that would have been a nightmare.
Yeah.
There were ones that we'd mentioned before, but there was no
Only
repeats.
a few. Only the. I would only say only the vast majority.
Holy the
And that's the good part.
And lastly, Caleb has this.
Come stop your crying. It will be all right. Just take my hand and hold it tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here. Don't you cry. For one so small, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I will be here. Don't you cry. 'Cause you'll be in my heart.
Good night.
The Whatchagonnawannado podcast is brought to you by Scott Dog Productions and is made possible by viewers like you.